Okay, Henrik.
All right. Good morning. Welcome to the second Golf Industry Talk by Gibson Jessen. Before I get to introduce my guest today, I would like to thank all viewers from last episode and as well as for the positive feedback. You can also follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, as we have mentioned online before. For the second live interview today, together with me, I have three distinguished guests from the Asian golf industry. So first, welcome Mark Siegel, Managing Director of GolfAsian.
Good morning, Henrik.
I also have Adam Calver, Director of Golf at Laguna, active member of the Da Nang Golf Tourism Group, as well as board member of ADIF. Good morning, Adam.
Good morning, Henrik.
And last but not least, James Shippey, Managing Director of Absolute Golf and board member of ADIF. Good morning, James.
Good morning, Henrik, and good morning, everybody.
Morning. So today we are going to talk about the current situation in golf tourism, the current impact, as well as what the future might hold and what can be done going forward in this situation. Mark, maybe you could start with an update on the global scene and maybe your perspective of the current situation as your business is currently one of the hardest hit as your customers are staying at home.
Yeah, that's right, Henrik. As you know, there's a severe curtailment to international travel, and not only does it affect golf tourism, but all tourism. So currently, every country in the world has some restrictions or complete lockdown of their country, and we're seeing no travel between countries at all at this point. Each of the countries obviously have to focus on their own internal matters first, and that will be the priority before they even think about opening borders to traveling for overseas travelers or golfers, the case may be.
So you have a lot of customers calling you asking when things are opening.
Yeah, there's no shortage of demand, and everybody still wants to live their dream. If anything, even more so now during a lockdown, everybody's can't wait to get out. And of course, we're fielding phone calls, and we're fielding many inquiries towards the end of the year and into next year as well. So that's a good sign. But for the time being, obviously all tours are on hold and up in the air based on the travel restrictions of each government.
All right, but that's at least positive to know. James, your company is currently managing and consulting several golf facilities in Thailand, among others, Thana City, Nikanti, as well as you are going to open the new course in south of Thailand, Kuala. We got very good news that we are going to open soon. So here on the 3rd of May. So in this situation, how do you see things?
Yeah, absolutely, Henrik. I mean, first of all, I think obviously this situation has caused everybody quite a lot of challenges in terms of operations, financial performance, and stability. But as you mentioned, you know, Thailand now will reopen again on the 3rd of May. So I think from a domestic standpoint, we see business will be fairly strong. And I think, you know, most destinations through Asia actually also have quite strong domestic business. So, you know, we're actually quite bullish about the next few months from a domestic standpoint. Yes, absolutely.
All right. But during the lockdown here, you have a lot of staff that you had to take care of. I don't think a lot of people realize how many people actually work on a golf course and depending on a golf course.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from an operational perspective, it's not just a case of turning off the lights and shutting things down. You know, from within the clubhouse, obviously we've had very, very minimal people working within the clubhouse operations itself. All our engineering teams have been very, very active, doing all of their sort of maintenance plans, repainting areas that needed and such. From a golf course perspective, it's actually been somewhat of a positive situation where we've been able to carry out most of our golf course summer renovation works, probably a little bit earlier than we would normally, and possibly be a little bit more aggressive as well. So I think this is this has been a really good opportunity for us to sort of maintain the golf course and take care of some of the longer standing problems that open. We hope that the members and guests will really experience some great playing surfaces, which is very, very important for everybody.
All right. Adam, over to you. So Vietnam just started to open golf last week. How do you see things in Vietnam?
Yeah, so we had our lockdown lifted last week. So for us here at Laguna it was our first day that we were fully operational again. There's been a strong demand for golf from our membership and domestic golfers. So not having the tourism side of golf for us immediately, we're seeing this not necessarily more right now, obviously for the next 6 to 8 months.
So things are moving now, and I think what about your hotels and so on? How is that going?
Yeah, so we have 3 hotels within the resort that we operate here at our site. So we opened all 3 hotels up for this weekend as it's a holiday. 2 of them are fully sold out. We still have social distancing restaurants and outlets, and we're doing out, etc. But we were kind of surprised at how quickly there was a demand for the domestic market just to get away and enjoy themselves.
All right. I think every golfer is eager to play golf again. So, James, since we are going to open soon, what are the things that you have done, and do you have any recommendation to share with the audience or in other countries that's going to open soon? What to think of and what to do?
Yeah, absolutely, Henrik. I think obviously it goes without saying that all of our golf courses, when they reopen, the absolute focus is driving. But I think there's a lot of initiatives that clubs can do prior to opening to make sure that they're keeping engaged with their members and their guests, and really keeping the interest about coming back to playing golf when.
Okay.
Obviously, from a safety perspective of employees and guests, this has been a big focus for us once we do reopen. We're actually going to be extending our tee time window from 8 minutes to 16 minutes, which will obviously give more social distancing between groups, whether it be on the golf course or even in the clubhouse. We'll only be operating a 1 tee start initially. That may change as things improve, but initially we're really focusing on that safety aspect. And the same can be said obviously for locker rooms and restaurants. Obviously when golfers arrive at a golf course, the bag drop is probably the area that gets the most interaction and golfers coming at any one time. So we've actually developed at our golf courses sort of staged phased entrance to the clubhouse, an area of bag drop, then a holding area where we'll obviously take people's data so we can make sure that we're fully aware of who is visiting on site before they move through to the reservations area. So that will really help us manage the flow of the golfer through the business before they play golf, and obviously then afterwards as well when they get off the golf course.
Right. So you have done this all by yourself at the moment. At current point of time, any guidelines from the government on this?
I won't say we've done it all on our own. No, I think it's been a great opportunity in this time to engage with other golf courses that are close by to us, that necessarily we don't manage or we're not involved operationally with, just to share sort of best practices. At the end of the day, everybody's in this together, and it's very, very important we move together as an organisation of golf club managers for the benefit of the game. But back to your question, at the moment we don't have any guidelines as such, apart from obviously social distancing decrees. But we are expecting something to come out later today, so we'll certainly be implementing that before we open the golf courses from the 3rd of May.
Right. Adam, you had a soft opening last week, or hard opening, I don't know what you want to call it. How did you prepare for that, and anything from your perspective to share to the region here?
Yeah, so we kind of closed down on like a 5-phase process as we had more restrictions. We reduced non-essential services and implemented more social distancing protocols. So we've kind of reopened in the reverse model. So first weekend for our clubhouse, we only allowed 20 people at any time in the outdoor dining area. Since that, the local authorities have eased the restrictions to now 30 people. We were at 2-meter distancing. We're now at 1-meter distancing. For the tee times, we've stayed at 12-minute intervals, trying to have one group of golfers per hole. Each golfer has their own cart. And we'll continue with that, for the next probably 30 or 40 days until things are completely eased off domestically. But yeah, so we're still slowly reintroducing more services. We've just opened up our locker room for this weekend, but it was closed last weekend. We didn't want to come out of the gates at 100%. We wanted to kind of ease back into it to make sure that we're carrying out our operation in a safe manner.
Right. All right. So if we now start to look forward, Mark, we talked a little bit before about how eager people are to come back to the region. So what do you think? When will people start to travel again, and who will come first, and how resilient do you see the golfers being in this crisis here?
Okay, Henrik, I think that's really the $24,000 question. Everybody's pretty much wants to know the same thing, but looking into the crystal ball a little bit, what Adam mentioned earlier is probably a good estimate, maybe 6 to 9 months before international travel picks up, and certainly the regional markets will be first, especially other countries that have eradicated or at least have the virus under control, namely China, Korea, Taiwan, and then the other markets will come back as the countries either implement some type of testing or verification that it's safe to travel, or have some international agreements with the other countries that people are traveling to and from. So probably towards the end of the year, we'll see things pick up, and then into about this time next year, expect that to go.
All right. I saw the Europeans yesterday start to talk about a COVID-19 travel passport. Do you think that will come into effect?
Yeah, a lot of people are starting to talk about how will travel resume, and they're talking about testing people a few days before they get on airplanes. Obviously, I've even seen golf courses testing all their employees, so to make sure that at the receiving end, everybody at a particular business is virus-free. And of course, there's a lot of medical treatments that will be discovered and implemented and phased out throughout the world. So there'll be a number of different initiatives all happening over the next 6 to 9 months.
But you think that golfers will come back before the normal tourism is coming back, right?
Absolutely. There's many golfers, if they could travel, they should travel immediately. Tomorrow, like we know, where everybody wants to get out and get into the fresh air and enjoy themselves like they remembered they were just a few months ago. And the golfers a little less affected economically than the general population, so that factor will be less of a concern, but it'll be when it's safe to travel and when the governments allow them to travel between countries.
Right. So over to you, James. Until all these wonderful golf tourists comes back, what can the clubs do, and what should they avoid to do? I know in last episode we talked about avoiding the price dump or the price war or whatever. So what do you think the courses should do until the golf tourism is back?
Yeah, I mean that's a very good point on rates. I think I'd certainly reiterate that clubs really shouldn't go into to dropping the rates too low at this time. Demand, we think, with larger tee time windows will be high, So it's really, I think, a case of adding value to the experience and really delivering a memorable experience both on and off the golf course, whilst obviously providing great value for money. I think to really focus on that domestic business is very, very important for all clubs, whether it be engaging with loyalty programs that you may already have in place, or you're currently going to devise loyalty programs for the domestic business when you do reopen, and that can even sort of flow through to longer term membership programs as well. So I think this opportunity for all golf clubs now is, we know that the tourists are not going to be traveling for the next few months, so it really does give that the ultimate focus on the domestic business, and really look after that demographic of our business, which is very, very important for the long-term sustainability of all golf courses.
Right, but for example, in Singapore, before they shut down, they saw an increase in number of golfers because people cannot travel, so they go and play golf instead. And there's some stories out there in Europe that also because people cannot travel, then they are going playing golf, and clubs that have reopened have problems actually getting enough tee times for people. Do you see the same thing in Thailand?
Yeah, in some degree I do, Henrik. Yeah, I think Thailand, is obviously slightly different from Singapore in the number of golf courses. And if we look at the greater Bangkok area, there's 20, 25, 30 golf courses within a very, very small area. So for sure demand will be high, but I think people still have a fairly broad spectrum of choice to play golf. From within our network of golf clubs, we've got Tana City, Nikanti Golf Club, the Beauty Gems group of golf courses, which is Royal Gem City and Royal Gem Solaya. So there's 4 great venues for people to play in.
Okay, so Adam, over to you. Vietnam just started to get on the golfers' destination map, and so what do you think need to be done in Vietnam in the meantime and going forward?
Yeah, we've had a very fortunate decade with growth in Vietnam. The last few years for the Vietnam Golf Coast Group in the Da Nang area, we've been seeing close to 30,000 rounds spread amongst the 6 courses each year. Obviously, 40% of that, if not more, at certain times of the year was international golf tourists. So for the next foreseeable future, we're obviously going to have a fairly significant drop in total rounds played. But we have been focusing on domestic growth over the last couple of years as well. So most of the clubs have a very loyal membership base. But we're also optimistic that our biggest golf market being South Korea and China were the 2 places that shut down first. So we're anticipating that they'll also be the 2 that open up first.
Right. So, but do you feel any price competition going on in Vietnam here in the near future, or do you think you can manage that? I know that you are very active in the golf tourism board, you call it. I'm not sure the total right name, but how are you managing things like that in Vietnam?
Yeah, so the Vietnam Golf Coast Group, which we manage for the Da Nang region, we just came out of our peak season, so our rates come down a little bit for boosting domestic golf going through the next few months anyway. So we've all maintained those rates. We're actually meeting next week to talk about the recovery plan with Da Nang Tourism as well. We realize that you're right, you're not necessarily going to grow the number of golfers right now. You just want to engage the golfers we have and get them to play more. And kind of like you said, that people have more time right now, and that was always one of the big factors in the game was they have to decide between 4 hours on the golf course or a couple hours at the cinema. Now, obviously, cinemas are still closed, so it gives us a good opportunity to grow that number of rounds they're playing.
All right. Okay. So you believe that the first to come back is the Chinese Koreans?
Yeah, it looks like for us, obviously, Vietnam's done an extraordinary job at containing the outbreak. They were very quick to react. They closed China borders back in February, and they followed that with South Korea. those being our two biggest inbound tourist markets. Hopefully they're the first two that come back, as they both seem to have also contained it fairly well.
All right. All right. So here in closing on this, thank you very much, everyone. Mark, any final thoughts on the situation forward?
Well, basically things will get back to normal. It's a matter of how long, and there will be an end in sight. So all of us in this room that we're in this video call know that, and we're committed to delivering very high value for money, excellent quality, and the demand will be there. And when people can travel, they will. So we just have to weather out the storm and keep handling inquiries and answer questions and promoting destinations and courses, and the business will come back. So that's basically the message that I want to send to everyone.
All right. I'm happy that the guy who have to bring tourism here is positive-minded. James, I know you are busy with, you are eager to get out and open your golf course and so on. Any final comment from you, James?
Yeah, I think I was just to follow on from what Mark said. It's really, everybody should keep a positive outlook, and be optimistic for the future. Good times will return. That's for sure. I think all golf courses, the management team should really make sure they have strong reopening plans in place, and really sort of focus on their awareness campaigns within the market, so their target audience know that they're reopened for golf, and really, we know everybody's very excited and eager to get back on the golf course and hopefully making some birdies.
Right. So, Adam, from your perspective.
Yeah, I think overall it's good to stay positive and kind of get creative with your offerings. We're still in contact with a lot of our clients that had to cancel in March from Europe and Australia, and they're rebooking in December, January, February next year. So they're obviously sitting at home still thinking of their next trip. So I think once we can get some air traffic moving, we'll see a strong rebound quickly.
Right. I actually got a question in here to both Thailand and Vietnam. So how is the new rules? We don't really know the new rules in Thailand yet, going to affect caddy service in Thailand and Vietnam. So maybe, James, we start with you in Thailand and then switch to Adam.
Yeah. As you pointed out, we're not 100% sure on the actual rules that will be in place, but certainly what we've planned at our golf courses in Thailand is that the golfer will actually drive the golf cart moving forwards. The caddy would stand on the back of the golf cart on the caddy stand, obviously making sure that we have strong safety protocols in place for them holding on. Really sort of making sure that we have sanitizing equipment on the golf carts as well. But at the end of the day, the caddy service at the moment will still be ongoing in Thailand, so we don't necessarily see it being affected too much in terms of happening. Just that the caddy and the golfer need to be a little bit more aware with their social distancing practices, and really making sure that they're sanitizing often, cleaning themselves, their hands, and their golf clubs often.
All right. So Adam, in Vietnam?
Yeah, so we actually, for the first time, caddies were optional just before the shutdown, and that was mainly due to just the fear of the beginning of the outbreak. We only had a few groups that took that option, but since we've reopened, the caddies in Vietnam do stand on the back of the cart. We have hand sanitizer in every golf cart. Caddies we're wearing masks, and they'll probably reduce that as time goes on over the next few weeks. And we were just working with the caddies, especially handling clubs and any points of contact where we could eliminate that risk. Was something we spent a lot of time training with them.
Right. So that's at least positive news, right, Mark? Because you always say that the caddies are the big selling point for golf in Asia.
Yeah, that's certainly one of our most valuable treasures and secret weapons. So we're happy to hear from James and Adam that service will continue uninterrupted with just small modifications. That's great news.
Right, thank you. So with this positive note and attitude from everyone, I think we are at the end of the interview today. I would like to say thank you, everyone, and have a great day out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Right.